Good morning, Savva here from Savva Talk Spurs. I hope everybody is well. What a lovely Friday morning it is, and I hope everyone is gearing up for a nice weekend. Today's daily thought. Yesterday, we got a lot of traction, a lot of divided opinions on the daily thought. It was in regards to Levy and Enoch leaving, to be polite, getting them out, getting these absolute parasites out of our club for people that want to be successful. Today, I'm going to be discussing Paratici, our director of football. How has Paratici done to date? So far, Paratici has had last summer, the January window, and this summer just gone. So he's had 3 transfer windows. Now, whilst we might say that's not a massive amount of time, in that time he has signed 14 to 15 players, if we're going to count Shakespeare, the young forward, and to varying different levels of success. So I want to go through those players and I put them into different buckets just to see how I feel that they've done, how I feel that they will do. So I'm interested to get your opinions on this. And then afterwards, I want to talk about, is there a plan? How has he done? Is there a plan to what Paratici is doing? Is there a disconnect between the club, between what Levy wants, between what Paratici wants, between what Conte wants? Because I think there massively is. I can't see a plan. People keep telling me we're building for the future, we're putting foundations in. But I can't see that. I can't see that there's a visible plan, an identity of what we're trying to build towards. So let's have a look at that, shall we? So let's start with his first transfer window. His first transfer window for me was shocking. Let's be really, really honest about this. The Christian Romero loan deal, loan to buy, saved Paratici for me because that was a shocking window. I don't care what anyone says. I know loads of you will come in my chat and go, you're negative. You hate every Spurs player. I can't believe you don't rate this player. But let's break this down. Christian Romero, an excellent signing, a very good centre-half. It's not world-class. I need people to calm down on that, but a very good centre-half that will, I think, eventually be world-class if he cuts out his rashness and can find some form and consistency without getting injured. A very good centre-half, a great signing, and that saved Paratici's window. Now let's look at the other 4 players that were signed in that window. This is where I really worry about. For me, I think Paratici's done some good stuff, and I think he's done a lot of bad stuff as well. He gets called this Don, he's building, he's friends with Conte. It doesn't feel like there's a connection. So the first one was Galini on a loan. Now, let's be really, really honest. Galini was dropped by Atalanta. Dropped because he made so many howlers. Not just dropped to win his place back, dropped and then loaned to another club. Loaned out. We signed him on loan and he was dreadful. Probably better at rapping, but a dreadful signing. So for me, a big cross. No. What an awful signing that was. We then look at the next signing. Everyone knows what I think of this guy. Emerson Royal. I can't understand how anyone can call themselves a good director of football and across Europe they go out and I think, what was it, 28, 30 million, whatever it was. That is the best right back that the club could find. That's shocking to me. So again, a great big cross. Emerson Royal, there's so many excuses for this man. He's not a right wing back. This, that, the other. He gives his all. He's good defensively. Most of his defensive tackles are where he's given the ball away in the first place. His 5-yard, 10-yard passing is absolutely shocking. He can't cross a football. He can't shoot. He is dreadful. So another big cross. The next one. But by the way, please put in the comments what you think about these players. The next one, Papa Sarr. My question is why? I've got nothing against Papa Sarr, young lad. Why? Whenever I watched him last year for Metz, I watched him for Senegal. I don't quite know what he is. I don't quite know what he does. And I don't know why he was brought in for us. I don't know. Was that a Nuno signing? Was that with a plan with Nuno involved? I don't know what that was. Again, we're not seeing him featured at all this year. He didn't go back out on loan anywhere. It's all a bit odd. So another great big cross for me. Listen, again, with the younger players, they might come good, but I'm talking about at the time of buying them, why did we buy them? What was the long-term plan? The next one, Brian Hill. Again, I mean, this was what, 25 million plus Lamella. So you're probably looking in the region of about 40 to 45 million, given that Lamella would be about 15, 20, 25 million. Brian Hill, another one. What was he bought for? What's his best position? Is he ready for Spurs? Is he ready for the Premier League? Again, another one. I don't understand the plan. And again, nothing against Brian Hill. A nice, tidy, technical footballer. Where does he fit in? What did we buy him for? Who scouted him and went, yeah, this is a great signing? And the fact that he's a massive downgrade on Eric Lamella, who I didn't particularly rate, but worked really hard and at least had some physicality. And again, so if you look at that window, Romero, Galini, Royal, Sarr and Hill, for me, a free 4 out of 10, saved purely by Romero. Otherwise, I would have given it a 0. So that was his first 5 signings. Then we go to a better period, the summer, the January window of 2022. So the January just gone. And everyone was expecting big things. Everyone was expecting we were going to buy these players throughout the window. We were going to support Conte. Paratici was on the phone getting deals done. And then it waited until the last 2 days of the window to bring in Kulusevski and Bentancur. Now, Kulusevski, I think, is an excellent signing. I do. I think Kulusevski is an excellent signing. I think he's a really good player. I was a bit baffled at the beginning of this season when he was the one dropped for Richarlison by Conte. It just felt very weird. I thought Kulu had started the better of all 3 of our attackers, but he was the one left out. Now, of course, he's got his injury, but for me, Kulu is the one where you go, that's a really good long-term player for Tottenham Hotspur. You can see him having a really good career. Lovely technician of the football, good skill, good crossing, can beat a man. And it's got a lovely shot on him. Again, I don't get massively carried away. I know people want to start talking about, oh my God, in 2 years he'll be on the Ballon d'Or and all that. Let him settle, but he looks good. He's a good player. Then we look at Bentancur. Bentancur, for me, I like Bentancur. No more, no less. I like him. He's neat. He's tidy. I think a lot of games do pass him by. But he is a good technician of the football again. Sometimes that can look a little bit lackadaisical. But I do feel sorry for him because I feel like he's suffering from playing in a 2 that constantly gets overrun. But a decent signing, a good signing. I don't go overboard about Bentancur. I think he's a good player. So that was a better window. But the worry for me was that, okay, that was easy for him because he went back to Juve where he's come from to get those 2 players. So far, the best free sign, he knew them all from Juventus, was Romero, Kulu and Bentancur. But a decent window. Some might say it actually helped us get top 4. So that was really, really good. Then we move on to this summer just gone. If we look at this summer, Spurs signed 8 players. Spurs signed 8 players with a few on loan, a few frees. And this is where I struggle. I really struggle. Lots of people were telling me this was an 8 out of 10 window. This was a 9 out of 10 window that we've really, really strengthened, that there's a plan. I can't see, I'm going to be honest, I can't see what Paratici was doing. Now, again, I always have to caveat this with, some people will tell you Paratici's in charge. Some people will say there's a Conte's players. Some people will say that Levy still runs it. For me, I think you can see the miscommunication. And it does feel like it's a bit of everything. So if we look, let's start looking at these players. Paratici, a 33-year-old on a free who's got a lovely, lovely cross, a lovely way about him, but looks leggy. Let's be honest, he looks leggy. Does some lovely bits in a game, but is he that dynamic player that we need that can get up and back and that will play 50, 60 games a season? I'm not so sure. Lovely cross. He's got a few assists. I just feel that we've maybe got him 3, 4, 5 years too late. So again, I don't know what the plan was there. Just a complete stopgap until Udogie comes in, but we'll talk about Udogie. So for me, a good signing. I do feel everyone went well overboard. I see people calling him world class. I struggle with this one because in that formation, it feels like he's not very good defensively, but a good signing. Again, note how I don't go overboard about signings like some fans do. Then we look at Basuma. On paper, for me, the best signing of the window. A player with multiple years' experience in the Premier League. A player with a great engine. A player that's run many a Premier League midfield. Baffling that he's not playing. Now, people will talk about, well, he needs to get used to our style of play. I'd say what style of play, but baffling for me. People will talk about COVID. Apparently, he's had long COVID, bit of an injury. But from the 11 games we've played this year, he started one, and that really baffles me. So I don't know if I can put a tick or a cross against that at the moment as a signing. Is it a Conte signing? This is what I would say with all of these. Is it a Conte signing? Or is this just someone that was offered, it was free, and Levy and Paratici went, yeah, that will appease the fans, which for a lot of fans it does. But Basuma, I just don't know what's going on there, but a good signing, I think. Hopefully we'll know when we see him play. I'll glaze over Fraser Forster. I think that was a solid second string goalkeeper signing on a free, no-brainer. I can't imagine most managers, if they were asked who they want as a second choice goalkeeper, would turn down a player like Fraser Forster. He's a solid pro, ex-England international, knows the Premier League, very experienced. I don't think there's any issues there at all. Then we come to the three areas where I think Spurs really needed players, other than a playmaker, which we just didn't even attempt to get. You look at Jed Spence at right wing back. Between Paratici, Levy, Conte, how has this been allowed to happen? I don't understand it. And this is nothing against Jed Spence. But clearly there's a massive disconnect. That we all know in an Antonio Conte system, the wing backs are so important. And we've gone and bought a 33-year-old and then a 21-year-old who Conte clearly doesn't want and doesn't want to play. So again, I ask you, what's the plan? What's the disconnect between Conte, Paratici and Levy? There's no plan. It's not all older players or all younger players. It's a mixture of frees and loans and youngers and olders. And that's fine, but it doesn't then tell me that there's a foundation there moving forward. What it tells me is there's players that will be retired soon. There's players that he doesn't want. There's players returning back on loan. I don't quite know what the plan is or was from Paratici and Levy and Conte. Then we look at Richarlison. Again, our biggest signing at 60 million. I don't mind Richarlison. I didn't want him. I've been very vocal about that. I didn't want him. I felt that at 60 million, and I'm going to caveat this as I always do, I'm not one that cares how much we pay for a player, but I am from the point of view that when it's our biggest signing and that's where the bulk of our transfer fee has gone, our transfer kitty has gone, I worry that that's the best they could come up with, is a sub-striker who doesn't really score many goals. He's played in 10 of our 11 games. He's scored in one game against 10 men, Marseille. Obviously, time to settle in, but it doesn't look right for me. His balance doesn't look right within the team. I would have gone for a younger forward and spent that money, the bulk of that 60 million, on a right wing back, centre mid, a centre back, a playmaker, something like that. But again, a decent signing, but at 60 million, most of our transfer kitty, I really do question it. I can see that he might be a Conte player just for the kind of shithousery, but in terms of ability and that, I just can't, I don't know, something doesn't sit right with me in that signing. Then we move to Longley. This signing for me is everything that shows there is no plan at Tottenham. We needed a top centre-half. To be honest, we needed two. You need a central centre-half and a left centre-back. And the only thing we could do in that area in the transfer market was to go and get a player on loan for a year. So that tells you there's no plan. You can't plan with a loan player that's going back with no obligation to buy. So let's look at this. This summer, we've brought in a 33-year-old on a free. Basuma, that is not wanted. Forster, who won't play, is a sub-keeper. Spence, who is not wanted. Richarlison, who is okay. And Longley, who's going back on loan. So fans, please tell me, all of these people that keep telling me that we're building foundations, what foundations are being built? I just can't see a pattern. I can't see a succinct plan. I can't see what they're trying to do. I don't see any of these players as top players other than Basuma, but we just talked about what's happening. So for me, it's been a real mishmash of what's going on. Then you've got Adoji, who I think is an excellent player. Obviously, we only got him because he went back on loan. I think other clubs wanted him, but wanted him now. We agreed to let him stay in Udinese for a year. I think he will be a good acquisition. That's the one bit of succession planning I can see, is Adoji will come straight in next year and be our left wing back. So all in all, how has Paratici done for me? I'd give him a 5. I really struggle with a lot of what he has done. He's brought in 14 signings. Now, if you add the 14 signings to Kane, Lloris, Dyer, Davis, Skip, Son and Højbjerg, that's 21 players. So we've basically got a squad that 2/4 of it, sorry, 2/4, that's not, 2/3 of it, just under, has been built by Paratici. This worries me that this is what he's come up with. What he's come up with is Longley, Spence, Richarlison, Forster, Hill, Sarr, Royal. It really worries me. And then we've got fans saying Paratici is a Don. So from my point of view, the jury is massively out for me on Paratici. Lots of people will come back to this video and defend it. But when I look at all the signings he's made, other than Kulusevski and Romero, I'm really enamored. I'm not enamored with any of them. I don't really feel like I go, yeah, what a great signing. So for me, as I said, old players, young players, frees, loans, not buying the centre-back we need, not buying the right wing-back we need, not buying creative midfielders. Is it Conte? Is it Levy? Is it Paratici? All I know is there is a massive disconnect. All I hear is the next window's really important. I mean, how many windows can we hear that for? Not just under Paratici, before that, under Hitchin. How many windows can we keep hearing the next window's important? We've got to back the manager. If there are fans of you out there that think all of those signings are backing a manager, I'm cool with that. You guys, everyone's got their own opinion. I just can't see how any of the clubs around us do this type of business. When you look at what the other clubs have done, and then you look at this, I just feel a bit embarrassed. So all in all, for me, Paratici, not enamoured at all with what he's done. People think he's the Don. I think this is really childish. I see grown men on other YouTube channels calling him Don Paratici. It's embarrassing. Sort yourselves out. Sort yourselves out. So all in all, that's the signings. 14 signings, stroke 15 if you had Shakespeare. Not really been impressed. This is why the club is where it is. This is why the club plays the football it does. As I said, we will beat the lower teams, which will keep us in the top 4 all season. I've got no doubt about that. But there's a reason why we don't beat a single good team. And don't talk to me about last year. I'm talking about this year. We don't beat a single good team. The best team we've beaten is Fulham. So let me know. I'll leave it there. Leave your thoughts in the chat. What do you make of our signings? How many of them are properly planned for the future? What is the plan for the future? What are we building? What are the foundations? I'll be live today, 4 p.m. Me and Kuva will be doing a phone-in show. So please, like, subscribe. Thank you for all your support. We've had a lot of subscribers in the last week. Really appreciate that. And the next stop has got to be the 5,000 mark. We're going to try and get there in the next 3-4 months. Much love. Speak soon. And as always, Levy and Enig, get out.